The bane of every artist's existence is the bleed through from alcohol markers, and the scary bleed through that comes through with your drawings. The dreaded bleed through that causes so many pages to be wasted because of the bleed through. But the Ohuhu Sketchbook claims that there is no bleed through no matter what, so let's try it out together and see if it's actually true. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be trying out Ohuhu's marker pad to see if it really is magic paper, if it really can withstand so many markers and not bleed through, so let's check it out together. So this sketchbook contains 60 pages, but if there's no bleed through you will have 120 clean pages with no bleed through to do your marker desires on. So if you're wondering why I'm showing you guys the color of the paper, it's because there was 3 options when I went to buy it. There was cool white, regular white, and warm white. So there was 3 different options. I picked the cool white option. A little bit later on I'll discuss more details about the sketchbook, but as of right now, let's see if it can handle just one layer of markers. I kept adding more and more layers, as you'll see a little bit later on, because my goal here was trying to get the sketchbook paper to bleed. Because I was really trying to see, I was like, okay, how good is the paper really? So I kept doing it, so I did 5, 10, now here's 15. Hopefully you guys could not hear it, but I'm not sure, because every time I decide to start a voiceover, cars decide to rev their engine, and it is super loud. No joke, like 2 seconds after I stopped that voiceover, another car was super loud. So I was like, apparently, these cars do not want me to do my voiceovers. Alright, back to the swatching. We are up to 20 layers right now, and so far it has not bled through. And then here, I'll show you, I think I'll show you guys in just a little bit. When I get to 25 layers, it starts to like puddle on top, as you can see right here. It doesn't like soak into the paper, so like it got on my finger there. It starts to like lay on top of the paper. But I honestly have no clue who would be putting 25 layers on their marker paper. So if you do, it may have that effect. But if you don't, I think you should be fine. Because I have no clue who would put that many layers. I think the most I've ever put is maybe at the most 10. I don't even think that many. This time I did not do the sketch on camera since it is about the markers. I wanted to just focus on the markers, and then here I decided to use some other mediums just to see if it could hold up with other mediums besides markers. So here I did some paint pens, and here I did some Prisma colored pencils, and then I do some watercolor pens to see if it can hold up, and it actually did well with all 3 as well. So far, with 25 layers, it is not bled through, but we'll have to see when we finish the actual illustration here if it actually does not bleed through, and it can hold a full illustration full of different colors, shading, all sorts of stuff. I don't know why in the world, but I had this idea to start this at night, and apparently I was really tired or something because I did not do this line art very well. I looked back on it, and it looked very sloppy, so I tried to fix a little bit of it because it was like all over the place. Onto the price of the sketchbook. There was a bunch of different variations in different styles and different colors as well, but I went with the cool white and it was $23 on Amazon, but on Ohuhu's website you could get it for $17.99 plus shipping. I also liked this one because it was spiral bound and you could cut out the pages if you wanted to. At the time I did not look at Ohuhu's website, so I just got it off of Amazon, but when you add shipping and everything, they're probably about the same price on either website. Now here is where I should not be trusted with an outliner, because I was trying to do like straight lines almost, but they had to be curved with their skirt, because they're not completely straight, they are kind of curved, but I was trying to make them neat as well. And then I was over here, like I kept like on this one, I kept like going over it for some reason, and then you'll see later on I went over it like 3 or 4 times. I don't know why, because it was like way thicker than the other lines now. I forget where I saw this outfit, but I thought it was so cute with like the matching top and bottom and how it was the skirt. I thought it was so cute, and I wanted to do it a lighter blue, but later on you'll see on accident like grabbed the darker blue, and instead of swatching it I just put it like on her skirt already, and then I couldn't really just put a bunch of lighter blue around the darker blue, so I just went with the darker blue. Hopefully this sketchbook will help me get back into drawing with markers, because alcohol markers have been like the bane of my existence recently. They've been like so hard to blend, and then they like spread, and it was just like super tedious process. So I was just like, I'll just use like paint pens, or you know, just something easier to use that is fun and simple and not as hard. So I really haven't been using alcohol markers that much, but I really want to get back into it. So hopefully this sketchbook helps, because I can use both sides of the paper and not have to like try to cover up and hide the bleed through. So if you've stayed halfway in, I will give you a sneak peek to the next video I'm going to post. It will be designing a new character actually, because I've been really wanting to write a book recently about like this cool story I come up with. So I'm in the process of trying to do that. It's a very slow process, so it may be a while, but I still wanted to show you the characters and everything I have so far about it. So that will be the next video I post. I was going to make her hair pink, but if it turned out bad, I didn't want it to throw off the whole drawing and be like, I can't really tell if this is good or not because the hair throws it off because the hair doesn't go. So I just stuck with a nice brown instead of doing pink because I didn't want the pink to like clash completely or not go, and then she stuck with pink hair. Here's where I put the blue down and I'm like, oh, this is a little bit too dark, but then I'm like, I already filled the square. Alright, we're just going to fill all the squares now. This will also help our bleed through test because off camera I literally had to go over these little squares like 4 or 5 times each just to get them like a solid color because I don't want to like make it boring but I just keep going over each square like for 100 times. So I did it off camera. So I almost did like 3 little drawings, but then I decided I want to do like a big drawing so you can see like the full character and it's kind of like a nice little illustration and not just like part of a drawing. You wouldn't think this, but filling in those squares was quite the tedious process actually because I didn't want it to bleed over into the white, but then I had to make it a solid color, and there were so many, and I didn't want to like put the color in the wrong spot because if I put the color in the wrong spot, I really can't go over it with white to get the color out of the box and then keep like the pattern, so it kind of messed up the whole pattern if I did that. So it's quite a long process. But now we're finally onto the skin, and here, I'm going to get into this. This is something I didn't like about the sketchbook though. So as you can see right now, it looks like I'm putting gray on her arms, but I actually wouldn't be putting gray on her arms. Then here, in this clip, you see that it's completely normal skin tone now. And it's really weird, like on her stomach right now when I'm placing the marker down, it's like grayish, and I don't understand that. Maybe it's the color like before it dries, it's like grayish. I really don't like it about that because I have to know what markers I'm putting down. I really can't wait for it to dry. So it was really hard to do shading because I couldn't tell like if I had too much shading or if I needed to blend more because the colors were all off until it dried. So that caught me off guard because I really wasn't expecting that. So I was like, okay, I'll try the Ohuhu brand of markers, then I'll try another brand, then I'll try Copic. And they all did like the same thing with the lighter colors. They all turned like a grayish version. And then when they dried, it turned back to the regular color. And on her face, you can see like it was super gray for some reason. And then now, once it dries, it turned back to the regular color. It took forever for the marker to dry on the paper. I mean, when I say dry, I mean just like the color to go back to normal. I think it's honestly maybe the lightest colors because for some reason like this color didn't do anything weird and the yellow didn't get like lighter or darker, so it must be just like the really light colors that mess up or like turn gray because only the really light pinks and like the skin tone colors and stuff like that did it. Blending her hair was actually my favorite part because it all blended so seamlessly together for some reason. Usually markers give me like the hardest time trying to blend hair and it takes forever, but for some reason this was actually like really fun and it blended together very nicely. And I do like how her hair turned out, so I'm actually glad I did it brown and not pink. So here I really wanted to give her hair as much depth as I could because it wasn't messing up, it looked really nice, so I really wanted to give it like depth and make it look like real hair. I did forget to add like little wavy strands that are like sticking out of her hair though. Here I had the same problem with the pink and the tan for the shading because it all turned like a grayish color and I was like, well, how am I supposed to know what to blend and what to keep like a pinky color for shading because it's all gray and I have to wait for it to dry. And if you know shading, you know you really can't wait for it to dry. You kind of have to do everything when it's wet so you can blend it together. For me and my style, I love doing pink as like the shading because I feel like it gives it like a cute little detail instead of just doing like a light brown or just like a color that's darker than the skin tone. I like using pink or like a contrasting skin tone. I don't know if it's contrasting, but I like using pink. Here I decided just to try to go with it. I was just blending it before even seeing it. I was just like making apparently her whole arm gray again. And we can't forget to do a background. I wanted to do yellow because it would kind of bring out her eyes because there's only one tiny little yellow element. So I thought yellow would be nice because it would bring out the pop of color in her eyes. And it's a good color with blue. So off camera, I actually had to do a lot of layers on the yellow to make it a smooth color. So in the end, stay till the very end because we will have to see if it bled through or if it did not. So right here is the moment of truth, and you can actually see it did not bleed through at all, which is actually crazy. I expected it just maybe to bleed through a little because I was doing a lot with the markers, but surprisingly it did not. So all in all, this sketchbook is really great. If you don't mind like the discoloration of the markers before they dry, this sketchbook is really great, and you can use both sides of your paper. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I post a video.